Education has been a key priority under President Bio's administration. However, recent challenges surrounding the WASSC exams have raised concerns. Many candidates' names were reportedly left out, and according to WAEC, most schools failed to input continuous assessments for their students, among other things. So this morning, we're going to discuss the growing problems and concerns related to WASSC exam, update on Becker, and the outcome of NPSC on Saturday. In the studio for this discussion, we have Augustine Bami Anthony, Communications Specialist, Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. We have Sylvester Mew, WAEC Inspector and former Chairman, Council of Principals. In Studio 2, we have Ibrahim Soyi Tumbuya, Executive Director, League of Democracy Advocates. Gentlemen, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning, Fabian. Good morning, Samir.
Online, we're expecting to be joined by Saliu Kamara, who's the Public Relations Officer of WAEC. Saliu, good morning. Are you there with us online? Saliu, are you there? Okay, I'm not very sure Saliu is there, but he'll hopefully join us at some point. Let's start with you, Bami. We'll start with the most pressing issue, WASSC, and the challenges it's posing for the candidates, some of the candidates who are to write the exam. And this is not the first year it's happening. This is a recurring challenge over the last couple of years. Yet we still find ourselves in a situation where the problem has not been solved, leaving the candidates in seriously concerned mental state. What is the ministry doing? What's the current situation?
Thank you very much, Fabian. I may want to set the standards of this discussion. Before 2022-2023 academic year, we had a system called post-cast system of WASSC. That was where principals or heads of schools were given the opportunity to provide data called continuous assessment scores for their candidates just once. But that can happen before the WASSC examination or after the conduct of the WASSC exams. So they had the largesse to do it at their own time. But what happened? Some principals misused that opportunity. They waited for WAEC to be calling them, please upload your continuous assessments. But if they failed, WAEC will then withhold the results for those schools that had not submitted their continuous assessment scores. But we also have to understand that WASSC is an international exam. It's not just a national exam for like NPSC and Becker. So that was the protocol since 2018 to 2022. But in 2016, WAEC International introduced a new system called pre-cast system, where the potential candidates for WASSC could be captured in SSS2. Their SSS1 promotional exams should be used as the continuous assessment score 1, and that will be uploaded into the WAEC portal first term SSS2. That is what we call continuous assessment score 1, which is very important, that bears the information of the child, your name, called biodata, your name, your sex, the subjects you're offering, your picture, everything about you, preparing you for the exams in 2 years. So now you're forecasting that in 2 years, a candidate named Augustine Bami Anthony will be sitting to WASSC in the arts department, in the stream of arts, and he's age 16, something like that. That's his picture. This caused a little problems to Sierra Leone. Nigeria adopted the system in 2016, the very year it was introduced. Ghana did the same year, 2016, the Gambia in 2017. Sierra Leone, we waited until we were reminded in 2022 that they will not continue conducting a post-cast system for Sierra Leone in particular, because the system has changed for 3-4 years. So we introduced the system, the pre-cast system, in 2022. That's the first year, 2022-2023 academic year. What happened? Sierra Leone, we have a peculiar case. Government pays for public examinations, especially WASSC, for government and government-assisted schools. It was a period that we saw the rise in the number of candidates from 90,000 to 243,000 candidates writing exams. That could also tell you how many candidates we are coming from outside the school system. So it had already formed a system of cabal, a system of money making, a cartel. So when this new system came in 2022, it was a shock to them that they had now to be predicting in 2 years which candidates to write the exams, instead of them having candidates or passengers coming from outside, that they will let them write the exams later, they submit their continuous assessment. That opportunity was not given them anymore. Now they had to predict, meaning you have to have your candidates in your school before you predict in 2 years those who will be writing the exams. So it created a problem. They started to present fake names. If a school had 200 candidates, they will submit 400 names of 400 candidates with fake continuous assessment scores, hoping that in 2 years they will get these passengers that will come in and they will go now to re-edit these names with real names to write the exams. But unfortunately for them, in 1 or 2 years now, the system has changed also. There is no way that you could edit the name of your candidate you had submitted in 1 or 2 years for continuous assessment 1. If you said that child was called Bami Anthony, in 2 years, that child's name will not change to Samuel Bangura. There's no way. So the system now says, you can only edit the picture of that candidate, because in 2 years, that candidate may have grown in size and in weight. So you could edit the picture. But apart from the picture, there is no way you could edit the sex. I could not be a male in the last 2 years, and because it's now the time to write the exams, I've become a female. So that's the challenge. So some principals predicted, because they thought they would have candidates to come write the exams. And yes, we had gotten piece of information that they really had candidates who came from outside and they received monies with the pretext that they were going to go again to edit. And in this situation, there was no way for them to edit.
But
so,
why did it take Sierra Leone about 5 years? Because if the system was introduced in 2016 and we only complied in 2022, that's a period of nearly 5 years plus. Why did it take Sierra Leone that long?
So Sierra Leone generally have systemic problems in education. So generally we have to take our time to fix issues. That was my question at a time. Why did it have to take us 5 years to join other countries to do it? However, we joined in 2022. And these are the associated challenges we are now having. Imagine some principals between 2018 and 2022 had made public examinations a money-making enterprise.
No, Bami, the question still stands. I'm still asking you, why did it take Sierra Leone 5 years plus to comply only in 2022? You've been working at that ministry. This is now not just about the principals and the schools, because they are regulated by your ministry. So as a country, why did we wait from 2016 up until 2022 to now implement the new system WAEC introduced? So
also WAEC was flexible. There is nowhere we reluctantly refused not to join the new system.
Yeah, but so what caused the delay?
WAEC was flexible to allow us to have a new system in place. So yes, we spent quite a lot of time to educate our principals, to tell them there is going to be a new system. WAEC went around to ensure they conducted trainings to all its principals, to ensure that we have a new system in place in 2022, 2023. So it has to take time to change. Bami, so probably that's why we waited for quite a long time.
Bami, I want to put it to you that we've had a number of candidates who are continuous pupils from these schools. They were there since SSS1, and in SSS3 their names were not on the list. Why illegitimate them when they were legitimate candidates in those schools?
Okay, so to write the WASSC exams, we have protocols to observe. First, you have to pass BECE. Passing BECE means you have to have 5 subjects, including English or mathematics. It's not it's all mathematics. So some schools have candidates in SSS 1, 2, and 3, but if you check, some of them did not pass the BECE, where they were admitted by other means. So For example, we have experiences, not even one, where schools will submit the list to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education for vetting. Let's say 500 names. We will vet, and 300 names of those 500 will be the candidates that are eligible, who really passed Becker. So even when you attended SSS 1, 2, and 3 in the same school, but if you have not passed Becker, you are not an eligible candidate for the exams. That's one. But also we have schools who, even after vetting their lists, and we asked them to go upload, they didn't upload in time, and they waited until the last day when the portal was closed. For example, the Methodist Girls High School. Some of them, a lot of the candidates are qualified as per Becker qualification, but the administration of a school didn't upload into the WAEC portal within the period the portal was opened. So therefore, they are not going to write the government exams except for the private exams.
Mr. Mill, as an education administrator, how concerned are you with the current challenge that the system is faced with?
It's quite a very serious problem, taking into consideration a child's mental and physical health on the candidates who are left out of the exams. Our major problem is the school administration. Some schools have taken this WASSC as a money-making business. Because government is paying, they've collected a lot of money from parents. A parent spoke to me yesterday that they have paid 1,200 new loans, 1,200,000 old loans for a child to take the exam. Now they said the child's name did not appear. And some of these schools are also giving fake BRS to these pupils. I went around the exams. Some of them, they said their name did not appear. I think there should be a thorough investigation about pupils whose names were left out, who did it, and so on and so forth. And there are also rumors going around that somebody is assisting schools. A parent said a pupil was registered in a particular school, and that was only done last year, September, and the child is taking the exam presently. So we need to look at the system, whether people don't have those who are working on it, because many of these people who work on some of these systems collect money from pupils.
Mr. Amiu, like Fabian mentioned, this is not the first time same is happening. We've had backlog of cases wherein kids have been left out, and most of them, they've passed 18, and we know, particularly so girls, the challenges or perhaps the risk that it exposes them to. What do you think should have been done at this moment? Because it seems like there is no solution to.
I think they need to call the conference of principals.
To do what?
To talk to them and tell them the penalty if any of those cases are identified. Then they will step up. My observation going around the schools, that some people have just even set up schools as a business. They are collecting money from pupils. As long, even if you are not going to the school, you come and register, they will go all out to get you to take the exams. I think we need to step up. We need to find out, even those whose results they say they are verified at the ministry, we need to investigate all of those things also. Because the comments, when you go to school, you learn a lot of things from people who are making comments. And it's not just the comments, but you will see one or two say, I have my evidence. You see? So we need really to have a meeting with the conference of principals, share experiences, and to tell them that they are damaging the future leaders of Sierra Leone by some of these decisions, these schools, so-called private schools. You go to some of these places, they don't even have a table and a chair for pupils. They sit in what we call long bench. And this is one of the things I want to condemn 2023, 2024, the highest number of exam malpractice came from Sierra Leone. I used to work at IFAC. Sierra Leone used to have the least exam malpractice. But now over 25,000 candidates' results were withheld. Last year about 17,000 also. It is quite a serious issue.
What is this saying about our educational system?
It has a lot of challenge. We are talking about quality education. I am saying it is not quality anymore because time passes, quality remains. But what we are seeing, even the universities will verify it, that when students even go with results now, they request for an exam before you are admitted into the university. Because you'll find out that some students have very good results. The day you call them for interview, when you listen to them, you'll wonder how they got those results. I've also observed that some of them leave some of these places, go up to Waterloo, up to those schools at Wellington that are up the hills to go and take exams. I have had a good experience. I went to a particular school. The gate was locked. I spent a lot of time waiting, and later on, the gate man came and said, I went to the toilet. I decided to go back a second day, and the gate was also locked. It is quite a serious issue, the quality of our education. If you go and check the WASSC, some are taking the exams to the last floor. So by the time you are coming to check, as I'm going around, they would have corrected it because they would have seen you coming.
Let's head to Studio 2 quickly before we come to you, Bami. With the way this system is going right now, for lack of a better way to put it, the diluted interest in actually learning, what impact would this have in a society like Sierra Leone if this is not changed?
Yeah, thank you, Phoebe. And of course, the challenges are many anyway, and the negative impacts the situation is actually having on pupils, parents, and even school administrators are very huge. Basically, if we look at the foundation upon which these things are actually happening, there is shared responsibilities. You will have to blame the ministry, you will have to blame the parents, you will have to blame school administrators, and even the PPOs. And Mr. Mew spoke about a very sensitive and clear issue, of which he gave some responsibilities to school administrators, that they are actually making money out of this. Yes, of course. But the thing is this, because schools are making money out of this thing, sometimes when they even notice that the people did not pass the WAEC, they will rather obtain money from that. They know at the end of the day they will have an excuse that your name did not come, and that was not our fault at the material time. But initially they knew that the people will not be legitimate to take the exam.
Are you pegging the blames on the school authorities at this moment?
You are blaming the school authorities and even the parents, because some of the parents, at the initial time they are taking their children to do schools, they also knew at that material time that there is a preconditional requirement that the child must have passed the WAEC. And it is there, and there was an official statement that was made by the ministry.
As you put it this way, understand as well that there's a mixed multitude of candidates that are affected by this. You do have candidates both in public schools and private schools, those who passed WAEC, those who had been in the same school they currently are since senior secondary, fourth form, who now are affected by this situation. So not all these candidates did not pass WAEC. Not all these candidates were just brought into a new school to write the exam. Some of them passed WAEC. Some of them have been in these schools for 3, 4 years, but they're still affected.
My statement was not generic. I was not actually generalizing everything. Of course, there are some percentage of pupils that did pass the WAEC that are qualified to take the WASSC, and to a certain extent they were excluded. There I will now bring in the ministry, the role that the ministry played.
Okay.
You know, the introduction of the CAS, which is the discontinuous assessment, you know, that came in. We were not prepared for that. And up to now, we are still struggling, because had it been that we were prepared for that, and the system was set up to actually have a fair access for pupils to actually have their academic entitlement, we wouldn't have got this kind of problems. Because every year, pupils are left out. That shows, and the blaming is coming from the CAS. Probably when you speak with some school administrators, they will tell you that the system is difficult to access. At some point in time, it will malfunction. Right. And this will also bring delay for them.
We'll soon talk on the impact information technology is having on principals in country. But Ibrahim, taking WASSC in Sierra Leone is gradually turning into a nightmare by the looks of things. And again, we've just seen a transformation in the syllabus for candidates who are taking WASSC. What sort of an impact do you think SIM will have on those who are used to, the former syllabus?
Well, when it comes to academic transition of syllabus and information, you will not actually blame the ministry or either blaming the parent. You have to blame the school administrators, because these are actually historical context. These are things that have been happening, and schools must prepare for that. If you have bad teachers who are not qualified, they will not have the necessary preparation to actually transit from one syllabus to a informative syllabus. That is the problem. So you will not blame actually the ministry or that the parents.
Say you were in 6th form and a new syllabus was introduced. Unfortunately, you had this problem. What will you do? Well, going for an exams that syllabus is absolutely going for an exams wherein things are actually new.
Well, you cannot change the rules. You cannot change the rules of the game.
Well, that's
you cannot change the rules in the middle of the game. But what we are saying is this: you know, when you are actually trying to the changing of syllabus, probably is not holistic by itself. It's sometimes on specific topics. So you must have prepared at least 60 to 70% for you to earn your passing. For you to transit from senior secondary school to that of the university, you must have got 60 to 70%. And those preparations are from the SS1, SS2, coming to the SS3. So I am not too sure that changing of the syllabus can have a major impact on the pupils. If at all the pupil is not being prepared well by the school authorities. The other challenges actually that maybe the question you brought is actually thinking about massive failure. That is connected to massive failure, I would say. For that, you have to blame these. Why you blame the school authorities? Sometimes they recruit unqualified teachers. They do not have the absolute mandate academically to actually prepare the pupils for these public exams. Mark you, these are not exams that are conducted by the Ministry of Education. This is an exam that is conducted by an international body which is locally and tagged to the WAEC in Sierra Leone. So, I mean, this is obvious reality. But however, coming to the ministry, if schools authorities are actually complaining about sometimes intermittent failure of the CAS system to actually upload qualified or legitimate pupils to take the exam, it behoves the ministry to actually engage in series of discussions and to find an amicable solution to resolve them. Because we don't want to see where we are saying that the audit report is saying that the Ministry of Education misappropriated X, Y, and Z for X, Y, Z. And they are still having a faulty problem, which is the CAS, because we will not say the CAS system is actually factored or procured by the ministry, of course, the WAEC, but you need to have dialogue. Why is this thing not happening in Ghana? Even if it is happening in Ghana, but it is not that serious that compared to Sierra Leone. Why is it not happening in Nigeria? You know, they are comfortably having their pupils going through these processes and taking exams. And also my brother from the Ministry of Education was talking about names changing. I mean, that is a blow. It's demeaning to the ministry and even WAEC to say you are making a system of which a name cannot be edited. Let me tell you, it is very important, and this is a fundamental right, that one has the right to change his or her name, depending on the circumstances upon which you find yourself. If you are building these policies
but
and
Ibrahim,
you are...
did you understand the context of that name change, where it became a game played by some of the schools where you would have had one candidate put in the system and you're bringing an entirely different individual. Not that that same candidate is changing his or her name, but bringing a totally different candidate to replace that candidate. Did you get the context?
I am not disputing the game that is actually playing. These ill games are actually ongoing. These are historical circumstances and facts that my brother is saying that it has been in existence. Yes, of course, I agree with him. But what I'm saying is you cannot override legitimate concerns which are connected to fundamental human rights when it comes to access to education and when it comes to name changing. Remember, if someone is saying I have changed my name, you need to provide what we call probably a deed pool or an affidavit. This can support why you change your name. But if you are actually synchronizing it and you are characterizing it to a very limited minute and saying that there is no name changing, come on. This is a foul play to the people.
Can you be Ibrahim Sari Doumbouya today and Samuel Ibrahim Koroma tomorrow?
It is possible by way of deed pool and affidavit. I can change my name. It is my right. And it is fundamental to me, even you yourself. But what I'm saying is you must put conditions that if the name is changing, these are the documents we want to see.
Makes sense.
That is it.
As you talk about the right of that, let's come back to you, Bami. For these schools, again, this has occurred like over 3-4 years. It's not a new thing. Yet, the inefficiency of these schools have left candidates to suffer. And it's a big issue. What is the ministry doing to resolve this? Because as we speak, no matter the conversation we have here right now, for those pupils who are looking forward to write the exam, nothing makes sense to them but understanding when they would be able to write their exams. And with the new system, once they're at that level to write the exam on the schools, once they're out of the system, the only option is to go for the private exam, which is more expensive. You look again at affordability. How are you solving the problem?
Oh, thank you very much. I am happy that I'm coming in now. I am going to...
You started.
Yeah, well, coming in now to address a few things raised by colleagues. First, to Ibrahim Sari. He was saying the introduction of the caste system has created the problem for WASSC. I want to clarify that. That caste is a regulation put by WAEC International. It is not a Sierra Leonean introduction. It is WAEC International, and it is not a new phenomenon. He sat to WASSC exams. He was given a continuous assessment advantage himself, Ibrahim Sari. Just ask myself. It was not evident because it was not precast. It was done after the exams. So, and it was just done once and not like 1, 2, 3 we're doing now. So he never took note of that, but he enjoyed the 30% of the continuous assessments. So that should be laid to rest. Secondly, Mr. Miu also had a concern. He said the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education should engage with the Conference of Principals. Of course, we engage the Conference of Principals. I'm going to talk about the joint press release we even put out last week. But also, you also said you also mentioned concerns around why should we let the kids suffer? There are 3 categories of kids in this, as you rightly said. One, there are those who really are legitimate candidates who went from SSS 1 to SSS 3 and passed WASSC and are left out. There are also those who went from SSS 1 to SSS 3 but did not pass their Becker examinations, and they are not qualified, even when they went from SSS 1 to SSS 3 in the same school. But also, there are other category of candidates who are just brought in from outside, and they were given the...
And that category of candidates who are just brought in from outside is also divided, because some of these schools were not even registered in the system to write an exam.
Thank you.
So some of these schools now had to go to other schools to ask that they add their own pupils to their list just so the kids can write the exams.
So see, the very reason we take you to our education week all the time, because you understand the issue. We have schools that do not have codes, WAEC codes, so they subsume other schools to write the exams. So what happens is, if you are not, they will say, I've gone to school, I've gone through my SS1 to SS3, but they said my name is not coming. You know what these principals, some of these principals do? They will go tell the candidates, we have submitted your names to Ministry of Education. It is Ministry of Education that has refused to register you to WAEC, and that's why you are not writing the exams. But they won't tell them that, one, their continuous assessment score 1 were not uploaded by themselves, these principals. They will not tell the candidates. They will go tell the candidate, we have uploaded every information about you, and it is the Ministry of Education that has refused you writing the exams. But the fact is, for example, we had 892 schools that successfully registered, uploaded their continuous assessment score 1. Successfully, that amounted to 167,000 candidates. And when it came to continuous assessment 2, we had 12 schools that dropped. When it came to the BRS, to now go register formally, register the intention of the candidate to write the exams, the batch registration system, it dropped from 167,000 to 148,000. You know why? Because they uploaded fictitious names with the pretext that they will come back, the opportunity will be given them by WAEC to go edit.
What's the way out of this,
so,
especially for those candidates who are depressed right now, just getting the news that they cannot write the exam? What's the way out of this for the pupils, and what's the repercussion for the schools who are found wanting?
A very brilliant question, Fabian. The first one, we had schools, 12 schools I mentioned, who did not upload their continuous assessments too. We have taken action. 6 of those schools are in Freetown. We have suspended them for 6 months without salary, the principals. And the other 6, we do not even know where they are. They are not existing.
But it's both public and private schools.
Both public and private.
But that repercussion sounds like only for public schools.
No, we are saying 6 schools, public and private.
No, you're saying withholding salaries for 6 months.
Yes, that is for public schools.
But what about the private schools?
Of course, we also take actions if they do not do it, because they are under the same actions. We also go to their schools and make sure they are not paid. We can do that. That's the Ministry of Education. We supervise, we provide oversight for public and private schools, so we can punish all the heads of schools.
You've not spoken to the way out of this for the pupils.
So that is where I'm coming. That is where I'm coming. That is for the principals. At the moment, we are investigating all those principals who did not submit or upload their continuous assessment score 1 that have affected those candidates who are not going to write the exams, the government exams. But for the pupils, if you are a legitimate candidate, you are going to school and you really pass the Becker, you are a legitimate, government is going to pay for you to write the private exams, as that's when we did it last year. We are going to do it this year again to ensure all legitimate candidates who really passed Becker and really are going to school, they have to come. We have to go out and register them, and they are going to write the private exam. Government is going to pay, and that's going to be the short-term measure. But long-term measure, we are working on the WAEC bill to ensure that all these things are also fixed. But also for a short-term measure, we have put out a press release, a joint press release by the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education in collaboration with the Conference of Principals of Secondary School and the Sierra Leone Teachers Union and the Anti-Corruption Commission and the West African Examination Council, WAEC, to ensure we have a credible examinations conducted for NPSC, WAEC, and WASSC. We have key examination protocols. One, I want to have our principals, all these principals for these centers, to be mandatory to be present at their centers. We have learned that some of these principals, or most of them even, do not go to the examination centers. They will leave it to their vice principals because they want to play games. So now we have said as a ministry and through the joint press release that they must present mandatory at their examination centers. But also, we'll have to have ACC go to all these examination centers uninterrupted. Mr. Miu raised a concern. It is part of our protocol that they delay you at the gates, and by the time you go to the school, to the centers, they have settled everything. So now, if we for any reason go to a center and the gate is closed and you are delayed, actions should be taken immediately. Anti-corruption should be invited. So these are all the things we want to really make sure we put behind us, because it's a cartel. It's a planned program. By the time they see the vehicle from the Ministry of Education or from ACC or from WAEC, the communication is flown to the centers, they come, and everything is settled.
Mr. Miu,
yes.
Bami has just gone through a joint press statement they had with other stakeholders. Do you see the problem getting to solve?
We need a lot of sensitization after the exam, so that in future we will not have a recurrence of these things. One thing I am against, a teacher is not on the payroll, should not go and conduct exams.
So it is here.
It is called Operation Pay Yourself. They go to the center, they ask the kids. I got something which somebody removed from my phone. I went and made friend with a girl in one of the schools, and she told me, please sir, we teachers say when we are coming tomorrow, we should come with 50 leones. The teacher told them, who will get this, who will get that, you understand? So to get my information correct, I told the people, I don't have 50 leones now, but if you have a telephone number, give me, I will send it for you plus cash out. And the child, I said, just remind me concerning my WASSC exams tomorrow. And the child sent the information. It was when I went to a program, I showed somebody, the person deleted it from my phone. He said, Mr. Me, those things, it's not nice to you to keep it. I sent the money for the child. And you will get a lot of information when you go and talk to these children. Like even NPSC, I went on Saturday, somebody complained to me, head of a school, that his children's name are wrongly spelled. So I went in, they were wrongly spelled to ensure that the children have taken the exams. I've told them, should know what to do, to write a letter to the head of WAEC to explain their situation. We need serious people to conduct exams, sir. Some of the principals, vice principals are not participating. I don't want to call a school. I went there on Friday. They had health science. The principal, not the vice principal, was around. A teacher, very poorly dressed, was arranging the center. And I asked the teacher, if a pupil come for the exam with his shirt over the trousers, will you allow that child to take the exam? Hey, Mr. We are busy. You see, there are lots of problems. We need to ensure that there is quality teaching. In Latin, a teacher is a parent. You live by example, in loco parentis. But the bulk of them, their interest is money. Even when the pupils do not do assignments, they said they should put the mommy aid inside the exercise book and they will get marks. I've even gone to some schools. It's the pupils that are marking the registers. It is really, really sad. The challenges are many. When we were there, things were not in that way. I don't know what has gone, where we have gone wrong.
Mr. Mi, you've been working for WAEC for quite a while.
Yes.
And I know from what we were told back in the days that WAEC is being presented with 30% for every student. Is that the case? For every candidate that is taking the exam?
Yeah, that's a CAS.
WASSC.
For WASSC.
WASSC.
Yes.
I mean WASSC. But with 30% already there for candidates, how is it possible that a candidate will still get F9?
This thing was developed by an American. If they give you a CAS mark, which is very high, and your performance, which is called the TAS, is low, it's going to bring your mark right down. The mark they are giving you for CAS should be very realistic when compared to your TAS mark you are having in the exams. If they give you a CAS mark that's a bit lower, it is going to shoot up your mark. That means your performance was very, very impressive. But many people, teachers, schools, give a very high CAS mark. The pupils almost have a 98 to 100%. But when they go for the exam, their performance is low. So the marks go right down. That is why some of them have their 9 or 7 in the exams. We really have to be very honest. People just give marks, even in the school system. Like even last week when they told me a lot of schools, primary schools, they are on camp, I went around, identified the schools, they went on camp. I know a school, they said they paid 400,000. I went and they were asking, the teachers who came to teach them now, we're also asking for 10 loans every day.
Mr. Mew, you've been in the teaching sector for quite a while and, you know, in the education system itself. But the previous years, decades ago, the results we had in public exams, the interest in learning, teaching method, it's way different from now. A lot of examination malpractices coming from Sierra Leone, looking for shortcuts. What would you say are the responsible factors for this? Is it the teaching system applied in the classroom making pupils uninterested in learning? Or is it the many distractions available with technology? What do you think is the problem? The quality of education has drastically dwindled.
You are quite right, madam. One of the major problems we have a lot of teachers who are not on government payroll. I went to a school's prize giving, and in the principal's report, they had 17 teachers who are not on government payroll. Those 17 teachers have families. So when they go to the school, every day they collect from the pupils. I have been to schools, even a teacher was giving bath, they give 2 envelopes to the pupils, one for their parents, one for the pupil themselves. They should bring it. I will give you a lot. I go to almost every school and get information. I am telling you, teaching is not actually going on. I am giving you evidence. While I was a teacher, your head of department has to sign your notes of lesson, your scheme of work. You follow it before you come and teach on Monday. I went to run a workshop for a particular renowned private school in Sierra Leone. And when I made that statement, the principal said, yes, my mother was a teacher. She came on a Sunday. I forgot to present my notes of lesson to the head of department. But when I went, the person said, today is Sunday, I have nothing to do with school business. The person wept. But now you go to the schools, go and even check their record of work. They are not even going by the syllabus. You go to the schools, they don't have even a teaching syllabus. I was most impressed about a boy who will be taking exam today. The boy goes to me for assistance because I taught the mother who works for United Nations. And the mother said, go to Mr. Mule. And the boy is excelling in his school. And I was most impressed, a lady. He said, who is teaching you all of these things that you are doing in school? He said, it's Mr. Mule. I was impressed. The lady came. I said, please, sir, I want you to put me through certain things. But you go to the bulk of the schools, as soon as they see some of us, we are taken as enemies. We should not correct them. A particular school, I gave some assistance. They formed a WhatsApp group. The teacher sent a message. I have taught you in SSS 1 or 2, so rely on me. Don't rely on anyone. That means the person is referring to me, who they asked to give some assistance to guide and direct the pupils. We don't actually have teachers today. We have cheaters. The bulk of them are cheating. They don't care for the children. Their interest is money, collect money from all forms. They have compulsory school lesson. When we had lessons, I worked with the days of Alpha Wui. When there was a school lesson, even on Saturday, the child is supposed to be in school uniform.
Mr. Mayo, is
Yes.
it bad to organize? Is it wrong to organize extra lessons for pupils?
It should not be compulsory. I will tell you, I taught the bulk of the principal's children, Gilpin Jackson of Methodist Girls High School, Mrs. Carpenter of Prince of Wales, and all those students had best results in Sierra Leone. Because their parents, they had teachers in their school. They said, let me go and look for a teacher who is specialist in that area. But now, whether the teacher is qualified, whether the teacher is not qualified, it is compulsory.
Bami, Mr. Miu made some grave allegations, one amongst which is the unavailability of syllabus by school authorities for the use of pupils. Is it visible in Sierra Leone?
You know, before 2018, honestly, we had problems with our curriculum. Some of us wrote the WASSC examination using the Nigerian textbooks, the comprehensive. You have to go through the topics.
Sure.
By the time you cover the topics, you tell yourself, I have completed the syllabus. That was how we assessed ourselves. And but by 2018, we as a ministry revamped the curriculum department. We recruited for the first time after long a director of curriculum. We ensured we recruited researchers at that department. So they were tasked with the responsibility of providing us or reviewing existing curriculum. And whereas fast forward, we introduced a new curriculum, bringing 5 streams instead of 3 streams to match the modern day learning system. And then we ensured we provided trainings for all school authorities and teachers and subject specialists with the new curriculum. And we printed out and distributed to all schools, the curriculum, the new syllabus. So it is not 100% that we do not have curriculum. We now have a curriculum. But there are some few things I will agree with Mr. Mio to a large extent. One of which is that we now have more of people who go to the classrooms to make money rather than being teachers. And you see young guys, young ladies who in the classrooms, they will just be there waiting, and they will exploit these kids, asking them for monies. We have gotten those reports. The very reason we saw the ministry putting out press release and making it very clear that admissions must be free instead of being paid for now. Before now, we also saw where if a child is moving from one school to another, that child has to pay transfer fee. But all those things have been put aside by the ministry to ensure that we provide a level playing field. Yes, we have quite a number of teachers that are not on payroll, I agree, but we also have a very reasonable number of teachers on payroll. We have over 37,000 teachers on the payroll, and that is bigger than any other field of discipline in Sierra Leone. Think of the military, think of the nurses, think of the police. The teachers are the highest number of people employed, 37,000 and more. Yes, we have quite a number of them that are not on the payroll, but there are also ways to support them. Government has tried to ensure that they pay subsidies. Yes, there are times they are paid late, but they are paid. And in the subsidy guidelines, it is spelled out clearly how it should be used. And 50% of that subsidy should be given to teachers as remuneration. I taught for 10 years myself, but the first 2 years were years without pin code, and I was given 50 leons every month to take care of myself. So it is not new, but there are ways to also make sure we support them. But in addition to the subsidies that are paid to schools for a way of supporting the teachers, in primary schools in particular, they are giving what we call performance-based financing, which is in amount higher than the school subsidy, and that is paid by the Free Education Project, the multi-donor trust fund project led by Ambrose TCC. And so that is also there are monies given to these primary schools to support the running of their administration. There are challenges, but there are also being remedies by the ministry to ensure that we alleviate these challenges across the school system.
I suppose you've mentioned a lot of progress that have been made by the ministry, from that of early childhood to that of WASSC levels. But even with these transformations that have been ushered in, the problem continues to persist. Mr. Me, you want to say something?
I had wanted to say something on that. The introduction of the Free Quality School Education Program has raised the awareness level of Sierra Leoneans. We also have to understand that.
On what?
We now have more pupils in school than any other time. The awareness on the part of parents to send their kids to school is higher than any other time. The involvement of parents in their kids' education is also very concerning now. You know, people now go check for their kids' performances. The interest of people now going to the classroom has also improved. Before now, a lot of young people will not opt to go to the classroom. But now we have more young guys teaching than any other time. So the awareness is risen. You could also see that because it is now a concern, note that it's also statutory, that if a child is not going to school, that family could be taken to court. So all those pieces of information in the education system has improved the awareness level of Sierra Leoneans, and now the concerned, the knowledge, the people wanting to know about education, the activities of the Ministry of Education, the activities of the school has risen. So the associated challenges are also reported. That's why we have concerns all over the place.
Mr. Miu, you wanted to say something on this?
I will rather call it free quantity education rather than free quality education. The reason being, take for example the subsidy. Today is the third time I started today. There are a lot of schools who have not been paid even for 2 terms. Then also, you will observe that these monies come in very, very late. Look at the cost of papers. The cost of papers have more than tripled. It's the same amount they are receiving. And the money they are giving to primary schools is nothing to write home about. You cannot even use it for even 1 term. I want you to check all of this information. They didn't tell you the amount they are paying per pupil. It's a good thing the government has come with. But I will share my experience in Ghana. Ghana also have this free quality education. I don't know whether we borrowed it from them. But in Ghana, they have what they call JET fund. Ghana Education Trust Fund. 1% of fuel, the amount you are buying from fuel, 1% is going towards the development of education. But you go to schools, it is really, really sad, madam. That is why I'm so happy I have seen past pupils coming to support, you understand. You go to schools in Ghana,
that is the benefit
they have,
of the awareness.
Yes, CCTV. When they are taking WASSC, go and check. The child has a table and a chair. If you want, I have checked, even on Friday when they started, 363 DSTV in Ghana, they showed the pupils taking the exams. They have a chair. In Sierra Leone, it is long bench. So when this person writes, pass the paper to the other person. You understand? It is so sad. We really have to step up. And the thing the past pupils have started with, I hope all of us Sierra Leoneans will copy that example. They are challenging, schools are challenging the others. So the first thing, I'm not going to look for the lion. I'm going to ensure that I look whether all of these pupils have tables and chairs. They have textbooks. I was listening to a member of parliament in Ghana this morning, donated textbooks and exercise books to all the pupils, and I've told them that starting September, when school reopens, he's going to pay fees for them.
I am
have a
very
concern.
sure that
I have a concern, Phoebe,
I'm very sure
please.
that the lion situation, those who know what you're talking about. But what's the concern?
Yeah, Phoebe, I have a concern, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Mill. I want to let the viewers understand this. The model of the free education that Ghana is using is different from Sierra Leone. I had the opportunity of studying the model of Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, and other countries, and even Finland, in my master's program. I understand it clearly. Sierra Leone's free education project or program is a political manifesto promise. And it is not that way Ghana is doing it, the national agenda issue. Like Finland, the national agenda issue. Every government that comes, they continue with it. But also, we are doing a holistic free education project. It is not done in phases as the Ghanaians are doing it. Ghana introduced free education program long since. It was only in 2017 that they introduced the senior secondary education free education program. It was done in phases. Primary school, after a long period, they come to junior secondary school. After a long period, they came to senior secondary school. It's not the same with that of Sierra Leone. So if you compare the outcome, they will never be the same.
I would have asked you, should Sierra Leone have adopted that system, but you probably would be in a tight spot to answer that, so I'll ask Mr. Miu. Could Sierra Leone have done it like that in phases? You take it one step at a time instead of just jumbling all of it together and dealing with a crisis.
Step by step. I am saying some of these things. I will tell you when I served as director of school feeding. I will tell you what is happening even today in Ghana. I am talking to them, all the caterers, they are going to have new caterers, you understand. I am talking to all of them. You talk to the examiners in Ghana, Gambia, they all discuss with me. I ask, what is happening in your country? This is what you should do. You understand, they will explain to some of us.
Gentlemen, we need to end this conversation now because we're moving to the next segment. But there's a question here for you by Ibrahim Senesi Nabiu. He's asking, when is the registration going to commence for the affected candidates? And what parameters is going to put in place not to undermine the credibility of the process?
I think there are many messages.
So many of
so
them.
many messages on our Facebook page.
Idris Abundu says, during our own time, the ordinary levels, O levels, no continuous assessment. A teacher can mark your paper who had never come across you. The school assessment can help the teachers to the students' learning. He can grade the students' abilities.
I think one here from Chris Paul says, good morning, AYV. The educational system in Sierra Leone urgently requires comprehensive reform. from poor infrastructure and unpaid and underpaid teachers to lack of learning materials and overcrowded classrooms. The problems are deeply rooted and widespread. We're calling on government to take immediate and strategic actions, allocate more funds to education, improve teacher training and welfare, rehabilitate schools, and ensure inclusive and equitable learning opportunities, especially across the entire country. Special thanks to Mr. Sylvester Mew for your excellent and insightful analysis. Your contributions bring clarity and urgency to discussion. It's a privilege to have in the studio. It's Chris Paul.
Mohammed Sulaiman Kouma says, if WAEC is making use of 30% given by schools, how on earth are students having F9 in their exams? Please explain to us, because as a teacher having 30%, you only need 20% to pass any subject in the exams. Is WAEC really making use of this 30% or not?
Idrissa Bundu says, during our own time, the ordinary level, O-levels.
Yeah, I think I read that.
Oh, you've read that one.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is from Ibrahim Senesi Nabi. Have you gone through that one? It says, how much longer will it take for Sierra Leone to fully adopt and streamline the system? Every year, we see a significant number of students who successfully passed the WAEC and met all the necessary requirements for WASSC registration, yet their names do not appear in the official records. This is not just an administrative error, it affects their future. What concrete steps is the government prepared to take to address the concern of these affected candidates and their school? Will there be accountability and timely interventions to prevent such issue from recurring and restore their future?
My final pick for the segment is from Sa Kaku, who says, although the government claims to prioritize education, it has not improved since they assumed power.
I think last for mind is from Abdullahi Balasharif, who says bribery and corruption in our educational system is killing the future of our nation in terms of education. I think those are the messages we could take for now.
Because of time, could you please respond to the process? You spoke about some of those who are legitimate candidates would have to write the exams under the private WASSC, but government would pay for it. Speak to that process, please.
So the process will commence in July, and will communicate to the principals, the affected schools. We have in our data 86 schools that are affected, but we have a third party, an NGO, that went to verify. And we have also learned from the NGO that it is really 59 schools and not 84 schools. But in July, we will make sure we communicate to the public, but particularly the pupils and the principals. Somebody was asking, 30%, why are kids still failing the exams? Mr. Mew answered that question. So it is not really 30% per se. It is it's maximum 30%. You can get 19, you can get 21. It's maximum. It's maximum 30%. It's not 30% for everybody. Somebody said government has spent quite a lot of money in the education sector, but there is no improvement. I want to say there are huge improvements in the education sector. We could see the number of candidates writing the exams. This year is 148,000 writing WASSC. We just saw the NPSC 171,000 candidates. Before now, we used to have 50,000, 48,000. Now we are in the hundreds. So there are improvements. Also, we could see the number of passes. We have 96% pass rate in the WAEC exams last. We had 88% pass rate in the NPSC. We have gotten up to 67% pass rate in the WASSC, and now 77% pass rate in the WASSC exam, where we saw over 100,000 candidates passing the exams. I think there are a lot of improvements. We now see more girls writing the exams, even than boys. We have seen quite a number of candidates across Sierra Leone. We have seen the improvements of the expansion of examination centers across all chiefdoms, for particularly NPSC across the country. These are all improvements. We have gotten quite a number of teachers whose professional careers have been developed by the Teaching Service Commission. We have the Functional Teaching Service Commission now in place. So there are quite a lot of improvements in Sierra Leone. There is nothing to say we are not improving, we are improving.
But again, before we go for that break, we did go through a lot of messages on our Facebook page, and I suppose Ibrahim will want to say something from our studio to Ibrahim.
I think we've discussed the challenges and still trying to urge the ministry to try to not to overlook or give an oversight on the problems, because identifying the problems, there you start having solutions. Because as Mr. Mew was talking about, there is no quality in the educations. Of course, I will support him because that was the promise that was made by His Excellency, and we talked about free quality educations, which came with so many packages. And of course, we have not seen the 2023 audit report spoke about the school feeding program. There has not been supplied for food. There is this problem between the Ministry of Basic Education and the Ministry of, how do you call it, Agriculture and Food. So, and we also have subsidies that have not been paid. 2023, it is there in the report. So, you know, so there are many challenges, and even budget allowances probably that can lead to what the installation of bed and accessories in schools have not been given by the Ministry of Education, but the budget allocations had already been given to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School by the government, you know, which is annual budget every year. The money is with them. So what are they doing with the money? And this was the problem, that where, you know, sometimes if the institution fails to put moral standards, I mean, all other things will happen, because these are composite policies, you know, where you see the Ministry of Basic Senior Secondary School cannot give account of ghost staff, you know, and it is written in the report that the staff list was given, payments are always given every month, but those staffs were not available for verifications. So this shows that the ministry itself is not principled to some extent, because even vehicles, motorbikes that should be used for actually monitoring school activities have not been available for verifications. Said, and it is in the audit report. Where are those motorbikes? Where are those vehicles? Where is the rise that the Ministry of Agriculture is actually shifting the blame on the Ministry of Education? Where is the subsidies that has already been allocated to the ministry that must be given, so you can see the commission can effectively and efficiently do their work in the administrative field of monitoring and assessment. So if you look at all of those things, you will know that the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School has its own, and this can affect the holistic program of the quality education we are talking about. So
a lot of what has been said here this morning are issues that boils around corruption. Would you say they've been given blind eye by not just ACC, but even the ministry?
If they've been blind eye,
they've been given blind eye to a number of the issues we've discussed this morning.
Yeah,
are issues that can't be unconnected to corruption, to corrupt practices. Would you say these issues have been given blind eye to by ACC and even the ministry?
Of course, these issues that we have discussed, we're talking about this cars, talking about WAEC, talking about this, what I'm saying about administrative schools of legitimate pupils. These are all connected to corruptions. But however, the ACC is actually, as you say, is actually giving blind eyes, because these are issues they ought to call on the ministry's authorities to come actually and confirm or discuss some of these issues. Because just imagine you were unable to account for certain staff that are receiving salaries, but they were not available for verifications. Imagine money was given, you said you procured motorbikes and vehicles, and you have not given accounts for them. And those motorbikes and vehicles were not available at the time of verifications. And you cannot give a strong response when you read under the official responses of the ministry as to why they cannot, you know. And also, you look at the subsidies. The money has been given to the ministry. Why have you not disbursed those subsidies that can assist those schools? And the commissions, and as Mr. Mew is talking, and he's probably, I'm sure, he's also having subvention from the entities represented, I don't know. Okay, let's assume they are having, because they have to carry on their own effective and administrative responsibilities to see how they can assess the school programs, you know. If money has not been given to them, how can they actually go to the field to assess? Because they have to pay transport. They have other things. These are all daily allowances. All those monies are kept within the ministries. And the ministry up to now has not given official response or evidence as to how they spend those monies. So these are areas of the ACC to come actually to audit and let's have a dialogue. Maybe there is something wrong somewhere. So they can see that, oh, where is X, where is B, where is Z? But it is in the audit report. But you are busy also, addressing other issues of ministries while leaving out the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School. The issues are many.
But the issues this year.
I'm sorry. I want to beg to differ. Yeah, these are sensitive pieces of information. If you are coming to the media, you have to be well equipped with the information before you come.
So what do you think? What do you think is factual here?
I am coming. No, please, please. I am coming. Before you engage the media, you must have done your assignment. Yeah.
What did he say that is inaccurate?
Everything that he said it was inaccurate.
Can I read?
Let me say something first. Yes, there were issues in the audit report as for any other ministry. It's not just the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. So before you come to the media to talk about the audit report, you must have gone back to Parliament or to the ACC to ask whether the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education has responded officially. Yeah? The issue about beddings and diets for government schools, he's talking, was 2 years ago. The school in particular, maybe he does not know, is Jimmy Bagbo. Government is supporting 8 government secondary schools in Sierra Leone with beddings and diets. Every time, government feeds those kids in boarding home. Yeah? So for Jimmy Bagbo, there was a particular supplier that won the bid to supply beddings. And 30% of the money was given to that supplier. That supplier didn't supply within the stipulated time in the contract. And the Ministry of Education invited that person. He spoke about an extension that was given to him. He did not comply. The Ministry of Education took the matter to the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Public Account Committee in Parliament. And they invited the supplier. So it is not that they gave the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education the monies and we have not supplied. That is not the information. We have to be careful. There is money issue, and it's something that has to do with integrity.
Who then monitors the supplier?
The Ministry of Education monitors. That's why we complain to the Anti-Corruption Commission. And that matter is with the Anti-Corruption Commission. But let me come to the other issues about the motorbike. Those issues have been cleared by the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education at the Public Account Committee. And if you read the updated audit report, it will tell you that the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education has sufficiently responded to these allegations, and they are cleared. So if you come to the media and you do not have that recent information, it's as old as 1 month.
These are irregular
facts. What I'm talking is as old as 1 month. So if you come to the media with stale information that is over 1 month, then you have to be updated before you face me.
There is no updated audit report. There is no updated. We only have one audit report. And I can read.
Go to the Public Account Committee before you come to the media to cross-check the status of the Ministry of Education with audit queries.
Was it wrong to reference the documents? Having those, was that not what the document says?
No. If you want to reference a document, we all did referencing. You must have done your homework to ensure that the referencing you are doing is updated. You are a lawyer coming up. If there was a 1965 Part 5 Act, you want to reference Part 5 Act, somebody of a good lawyer will tell you, young man, we are not living in that era anymore. And that's what I'm telling Mr. Ibrahim Sorry. We are not living in that era anymore. Go check your audit report. Go to the
in fact, what he's saying...
on the media, right? I am saying this because it is a public information. Go to the Public Account Committee, ask them what is the status of the Ministry of Education on these matters. They will tell you it is sufficiently clear.
it has not been sufficiently clear, because I have done correspondences with the Public Account Committee that he said. It has not only one ministries that I have done correspondences with regards to misappropriation, embezzlement, or other irregularities within the audit report. And one of them is the Ministry of Education. What he's saying is not actually representing the fact. The fact here is this. Now, the official response in the audit report from the ministry cannot override any other thing that is saying. Secondly, we don't have any updated audit report. We only have one report. Yeah. And once that report is done, it behoves the Public Accounts Committee or the ACC to inquire into those areas that have been placed as probably possible misappropriation or possible embezzlement or other irregularities. What we are saying is this. Now he is talking about Jimmy Bagboy. It is not Jimmy Bagboy. This is a general statement that has to do with bed installation and accessories. It is not one school that was picked, and it is not even registered in the audit report as Jimmy Bagboy.
Because
that is the fact. Look at the report. You have to read the report in the first place. Read the report.
Are paid to the Ministry of Education for further transmission to the schools, and the ministry is holding on the subsidies, and they are not giving to them. That is also a wrong information.
Allow me to clarify some of these issues.
Pays subsidies directly to the school account.
This is not this.
So he doesn't have
no.
He's not updated.
No, are you saying the audit report? No, are you saying the audit report that has the specialized mandate doesn't know?
Directly to the schools and not to the Ministry of Basic and Senior
It is
Secondary
simple.
Education.
Are you saying the audit report does not have...
you read the audit report, but you did not understand properly. Go back to the audit report. I'm now telling you with authority.
What I'm saying, the Ministry of Basic Education is allegedly and possibly swimming in corruption. No. And those issues must be investigated, and the ACC must make sure they bring conclusion, and we have official correspondences as the ACC has been doing for other ministries. ACC cannot conclude a matter without bringing official statement, because they have been doing it for other ministries. So are you saying there is immunity for the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School?
I am telling you,
matter has been concluded and no official correspondence from the ACC? No. They are not excluded. No, the SEC has been doing it for other ministries. When they conclude matter, they will come to the public and tell the public that this is what they have been doing.
Mr. Abraham, so he's my brother. Let me make this very clear to me.
Oh, Mr. Bami.
Subsidies are not paid to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, as he is allegedly saying. Subsidies, sorry sir, please, you are interrupting me. Subsidies are paid. So individual schools, they have their accounts with the Ministry of Finance that we, Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, populate the Ministry of Finance with, right? So they are not paid to us that the monies are seated with us and we have not given people. That's not the case. That's misinformation on the part of the civil society. It's misinformation on the part of the Ministry of, the civil society guy. But also, he has to understand this very clearly, that if I have said that a particular school, Jimmy Bagbo, I have named the school for him, he does not know the facts. It's Jimmy Bagbo. If I have said ACC has been involved in this matter and they have called upon the supplier, means we are not hiding anything inside the cupboard. You understand? So it is not where we have kept the monies and we have not supplied. But also, if I have told him that he should go to Public Accounts Committee, to Parliament, to verify the status of the allegations or the audit reports of the queries in the audit report for the Ministry of Education, that would have been the best place for him to go. Yeah? So if he is saying there is nothing that will override the queries in the audit report, I will tell him
not
that
the official response from the ministry.
Please let me say something. Please let me say something. The queries are there for ministries, sometimes individuals, to respond to them. And that is the very reason the entire ministry has been taken to Parliament. The minister, the permanent secretary, and all directors are taken to Parliament to go and defend every other statement that is made against them. And that is done.
Mr. Miu is a living example.
It's done.
You've been in the education sector for quite a while. What really obtains in terms of subsidy and what have you?
The subsidy is paid into a school's account.
Mr. Miu, tell him, please.
Yes.
Tell that civil society guy. He doesn't know.
Whatever you are purchasing, you should have receipt for it.
Thank you.
Because auditors will come to verify those information. If you have difficulties, They will give you a number of days to respond to it, after which they will take you to Parliament so that action will be taken against.
Thank you.
Ibrahim's submission paints a picture as if the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education seem to be swimming in corruption. Do you think that's what currently exists?
Well, I cannot say anything. I don't know where he got his evidence. You can only make a comment when you have evidence of what, from what area is coming from. Perhaps he has evidences to demonstrate that. But while I was not only principal, I was chairman of principals. When schools have difficulties, I go with them to Parliament but they must have given them a few days, perhaps 20 or 21 days, for you to respond to some of these issues.
I know issue of subvention is one amongst the thorny issues most times.
No, the subvention is
schools
too small now.
The subvention could be one, but again, even the timely submission of those subventions.
Yes, that is what they are.
Schools
receive 3 terms.
First,
the other term has started today. 3 terms some schools have not got subvention, and some are underpaid. And the money for the primary school is too small. It's nothing to write home about. Yeah. And if you want to go to the primary schools, ask them, they ask parents to make contribution, even to pay their daily staff that they have there, because they don't have any means of getting money.
Okay. As we try to wrap off, I will ask Ibrahim, ask you to of course, give us his closing courtesies. As much as we also expecting to, of course, have in the studio an update with regards to sports. Yesterday, my team Chelsea has a 3-1 win against Liverpool. I hope it will be captured in the news to the Maclean. But nonetheless, Ibrahim, your closing courtesies.
Yes, thank you for having me, and I'm urging the parents to know that if you know your child has not passed the BAEC, don't go and pay to any school for your child to sit. Make sure your child has the necessary requirements, because if that's a single criterion that must be met, and then you go and pay to the school will just take your money and eat. At the end of the day, we just shift the blame to the ministry, saying that the name has not come. And we also urge the ministry to actually own up to their responsibilities. When it comes to issues of vicarious liability, there is no way they can escape that, because we know what the mandate of educational system in Sierra Leone is. And of course, they have their specific authorities within the Educational Act, which we are urging them to actually implement. They have huge powers, especially decisions against private schools or government schools. And also for school administrators. Don't try to, some of the school administrators, we urge you to refrain from scamming, because this is an attitude of scamming, When you know that the particular people is not qualified or cannot be legitimate to take the WASSC, and then you obtain money from them. Simply, I think in criminal law, whatever they say, obtaining money by false pretense or what, you're pretty well aware and sure that these people cannot be legitimate, and then you take money from them. Hoping that at the end of the day, we just shift the blame to the ministry is bad, and we need immediate and urgent actions. And for those that have been left out, we urge the ministry to please find a way that it can dialogue with WAEC and to see that some of these issues are amended, because psychologically it has severe implications on pupils. Imagine. And also time passes, Like you say, wait, time don't go, they come again. So we want to see that pupils are comfortable in an environment to take an exams, and they enjoy the befitting entitlements that is given by law, by policies, and by governance. So we don't want to see where the educational manifesto promise of the president is being undermined by ministries and parents and school administrators or WAEC. So we urge the ministry to do that. Also, as my brother was saying, I'm still not disputing you, but what I'm telling you is there is no way the subsidies can come through directly from the Ministry of Finance. You can check the audit report. If you have an argument, argue the auditors. That is not my own field. My own field is I'm quoting an official document which is established by law and by an act of parliament institution, so it is my right to quote them, and I reference them. The Ministry of Basic Education is possibly, by the ACC, by the audit report, possibly to some extent, let me use it because maybe you may want to take me to the CID, swimming in the pool of corruption. Possibly, maybe, I don't know. But that is what is in the audit report. So please, my brother Bami Anthony, you're my brother, we've known each other for a long time.
Thank you so very much, Ibrahim. Sorry, Dumbuya, it's been a pleasure having you. Bami and Mr. Mew, quickly.
Yes.
We also invited a representative from WAEC. I mean, as much as the issues one that cannot be unconnected to them. But on our Facebook page, Surrey Ibrahim, did send us a message. It read, WAEC is highly corrupt. They favor most top schools and papers are leaked every year. The standard has gone down. The standard has gone down the drains. Majority of WAEC staff are corrupt. And this one is saying, Dauda Amar says, WASSC is a nightmare. Just given quantity, but how genuine are these candidates passing? We hope a representative of WAEC could have been here to say a word or two to say, but I know Mr. Mew works closely with WAEC and you'll want to respond.
Thank you very much, sir. Those allegations are unfounded, are untrue.
Thank you.
I am saying so because I have worked at WAEC. They will give you information. The only time WAEC had difficulty was with timing with Nigeria. The exam was 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock in Sierra Leone was 9:30 or 10 o'clock in Nigeria. So that is why we have made our own time to be 8:30, which would be the same time they are starting the paper.
Nigeria is 1 hour ahead of Sierra Leone.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
But Mr. Mew, had it been what the person said being the reality, would you have agreed?
I would have agreed,
publicly
madam.
said that's the case?
Madam, you have to be a patriot. It is not for today, for tomorrow.
Yes.
When you make comments which are not good, it will follow you for years to come. I am telling you, education is the saving grace of the have-nots. Learning is better than silver and gold. Anyone who wants to damage Sierra Leone, let them damage the education system. Once the education system is damaged, we cannot go further. So I really appreciate you people, besides calling other people for programs, to come and discuss about issues in the education sector. It means that the station is very patriotic. They want development. They want all the challenges we are having in the education sector for us to correct them. And I want to assure you that I will always work with you people. Even this morning when I had no vehicle, I said I have to come. Because if you help the education system, my dear, people will stop begging. Everybody will almost find a means of getting something for tomorrow. I want to appreciate you again, once again.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Mew. And with that being said, Bami, just a few words before we go for sport.
Mr. Mew just made my day. He said education is a saving grace
of the have-nots.
For the have-not. Sure. Imagine me coming from Moyamba. Would I have given the opportunity to come to AYV to talk about national education? So that's the beauty of education. For those who do not believe that we are making progress, let me give you a few statistics, just in 2 minutes, in 30 seconds, sorry. We, through the Free Education Project, the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, through the Free Education Project, has renovated 750 primary schools in just 2 years. We have spent 46 millions on renovations for schools. We have given 90 million loans to primary schools as PBF in addition to the school subsidy. We have built 279 classrooms in addition in just 2 years. Okay. So there are a lot of things. You go to the special needs. They have vehicles. We have now hostels for girls who are coming from deprived homes, who do not have families, orphans. We now have hostels in Kailan, in Pujan, in Bond to host them. This is the improvement we are talking about. So if you do not believe in higher education, learn to believe from today.